Hello folks, this is Sasha Costa with the Media Heroes, and this is another episode of our online show. I'm here today with my friend, Pastor Bobby Gass from Baypoint Church in Texas City, Texas. So, I've known Bobby for many, many years. He's just somebody that's special to me, somebody that I enjoy talking to, and just a mentor, all-around mentor. So, what I wanted to do today is to come in, talk to Bobby a little bit about life, ask him how he started as a pastor, how he started this church, and I think you will enjoy that as an audience as well. So Bobby, I don't want to steal your thunder. Tell us a little bit about yourself, please, and who you are. Introduce yourself.
Well, as we talked about many times, I had a business my whole life, got married when I was 23 years old, and my dad passed away suddenly, and I found myself without income, without my mentor, without anything, and a wife that was 6 and have a baby. So I went to work and didn't know anything about construction, but I watched some guys pouring concrete, and I thought, man, I can do that. And they put some sidewalks, they put some 2x4s up, and they poured the concrete, and they leveled it out. I thought, that can't be hard. So I went and did a few jobs, and I got them, and I lost money, but I learned what I had to do to make money, and I did that for 30 years. Went from that to streets, to subdivisions, to developments, to office buildings, to, I think when the last year that I was in business almost 10 years ago, we did like 17 million.
Wow. So you went from pouring sidewalks, losing money, learning how to pour sidewalk to a $17 million business.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Yeah, I've been self-employed my whole life. I don't think I've ever had a real job or gotten a real paycheck. I mean, if we wanted to eat, I had to do something.
Yeah.
And that's only because to survive. I mean, you got to eat, got to work, got to make money. That's what we did. That's what I did for 30 years. The guy called me into this.
Wow. So, pouring concrete, building a company, a successful company at that. So, how did you go from, or what called you from having a company into coming and building a church?
I think about, we talk about that, I think about that all the time. This church is 9 years old, and I was at another church for almost 9 years, so 18 years.
Mm-hmm.
18 years ago, I woke up in the middle of the night. We were doing very well, the company good, 3 kids, and I rolled over and looked at my wife, and I said, there's got to be more than this. I mean, something's missing. And we had money.
Mm-hmm.
I'm extreme on everything.
Right.
Pilot's license, all this toys, but missing something. Something wasn't there. Mm-hmm. And I said, "You really believe in God?" And she said, "Well, sure, I believe in God. Don't you?" I said, "Yeah, I think, but we're missing something." And we were Lutherans, been going to Lutheran church our whole life, so we set out to find something. And we visited a few churches and nothing, and we visited one little church that had 50 people, brand new. It was a Saddleback-based church, Rick Warren type church. Man, I walked up, music's playing, band. I'm like, I had a suit on. My wife had our Easter bonnet because it's Easter. The little girl had the Easter bonnet. This is it. Uh-huh. This is cool. And I loved it. I fell in love with ministry, so I helped that pastor pull right up under him, and he had 50 people. I helped him grow that church. In 8.5 years, about 1,100 people.
Okay.
And then, for whatever strange reason, started feeling the tug, the pull that season was over. Had my business the whole time. We were still, doing construction, but my heart was shifting more to ministry.
Right.
So talked about it with my wife, and we closed our business. Well, I take that back. We started this church with 6 people, and kept my business open. We were doing fine. And after about a year, God said, "No, you need to stop doing that and do this," which was absolutely insane.
You know what? That
Insane.
is. I mean, and a lot of people that watch this, that are going to watch this video, I know that some of you don't go to church, some of you do, but you're telling me that you had a profitable business, and you're saying that God talked to you. And
yeah, it wasn't like people say God talks to me. I know there's.
Oh, but in your heart.
Yeah,
and you felt
my heart is for lost people. It wasn't that, but when I worked at that church for 9 years, I saw families change.
Yeah.
So I'm coming in hopeless, helpless, ready to give up, and I saw that turn around. And I saw their lives put back together, and families put back together. And I didn't preach I didn't pray out loud. I'd never read the Bible, none of that. I just helped that pastor. I was his right-hand guy because I knew construction. We went from the college to a tent, 8,000 square foot tent. I sold him some property. My partners and I had a lot of land on the freeway. We sold him some land for $1 million, and we owner financed it, no interest, no payments for 7 years. Crazy, but I kind of did that. And then eventually in 4 years built a building and went from nothing to that. And all along the way, man, just loved it.
Fell in love with it.
Just loved it. Fell in love with Jesus. And so then, I always heard people say, well, God told me this, God told me that. Well, I just had this feeling, this pull, tug. You know, so I guess the best way to talk to me, but the tug was, you need to be doing this, you know, yourself. So we did. We stepped out and started. But the first year, I didn't feel called to preach because I never even spoke.
Right.
Never really read much of the Bible. I was a worker. So I hired a pastor the first year. And after about a year, it was really clear that God was saying, no, that's not what I'm telling you to
So
do.
you started a church, but you hired a pastor.
Yeah, had an elder board. I was chairman of the elders. I kind of ran the show from the back, you know, chairman of the board type thing. And even though it was growing and prospering, I just knew
That you had to
that I wasn't sacrificing anything. That was not what God called me to do. So after a lot of prayer, Brandon and I were both in agreement about a year that I was supposed to be doing it. So I let 17 people go.
Wow.
One lady had been with me the whole time, 17 years. Had let everybody go, liquidate. We had properties everywhere. Liquidate all of our properties. I've told you about some of the apartment complexes on the freeway. When the smoke all settled, had a little money in the bank, paid my house off, got debt free, and pastored this church for 3 years with no pay.
3 years with no pay. Wow.
And that's what
That's
we
how you
did.
built it.
And it just God honored that, and we took off.
Did you start off by calling Baypoint Church?
The name, you mean? Was
Yes.
it called Baypoint? It was Baypoint Church, and then about 3 years ago we changed it to Baypoint Community Church.
Baypoint
Because
Community
my
Church.
dream is to reach the county, not Texas City.
Oh, great.
Not just this town, but I want to, you know,
Absolutely.
hit everybody.
Okay.
So we changed it to community.
No. Was it this building?
Oh no, when we started, it was at my house. And I knew right away by the third meeting it was growing. Couldn't do it at the house. So the building next door, the kids center, which I hope you get a shot of on the way out, it was a beer joint, a billiard parlor, and the city had closed it, condemned it.
Oh.
And my partner owned this strip center, my business partner of 20 years. So I called him and I said, Jim, man, I need a building. And it was the stinkingest, nastiest building I'd ever been in. So I said, oh my gosh. And I'd sit out there on a 5-gallon bucket by that light pole and I'd look at it and I'd pray, God, is this it? You know, because I just felt led to this empty building. It's 11,000 square feet.
Wow.
And finally I said, yeah. So I called Jim up. I said, hey man, I know it's crazy, but we started a church, and when he got through laughing, you know, I said, in that building you got down on Palmer, I need a building. I mean,
Yeah.
we don't have any money, but can I use it? He said, you do whatever you want. So I put a little proposal together of no rent for 5 years, and we'd do all the improvements. So 6 of us turned into about 14, 15, 18 families, and in 6 weeks we remodeled it. We all hocked everything we had, and spent about $150,000. And stripped it down, put carpet, ceiling, and that was it.
Wow.
And then opening Sunday, we had like 100 people come. And that was it. That's where Baypoint started, in a beer joint. And then second, third year, this was the furniture store. And
So that was the beer joint. This was a furniture store.
we grew about
It's
250
connected.
people next door. And aggressive, you know, just always doing whatever we could, always spending money we didn't have to reach out. But man, God honored all that.
Yeah.
You know, no matter what we did, I was out there on the edge. By the end of the year, God always honored it. Always honored it. So when this building came up, it was $1 million. You know, it might as well have been 10 million. You know, $1 million for 200 people.
Yeah.
But man, I put a deal together, which is what I was good at. And a little owner financing, a little God's help, a little bank friend. We got this building. And it's just a big old empty shell.
Yeah.
And you've seen it.
Yeah,
You know,
it's a
it
big
is now.
building.
We probably, it's appraised at $4.5 million.
Mhm.
It's a 43,000 square foot facility. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
It really is. That's the only thing that really, when I get down and I'm ready to just throw in the towel, I think, oh my gosh, look what God's done. It's a handful of people. And it gives you that.
And that's the interesting thing. I mean, this is the kind of story that you can't do it by yourself. And
No
when
way.
when people say, "Is there a God?" We can't do this by ourselves,
No,
can we?
you can't take 4, 5, 6 people in your living room
Yeah.
and then end up at 8.5 years later with 43,000 square foot, $4.5 million
Yeah.
building that's running 600-700 people a week,
Yeah.
seeing 10 salvations a week. I mean,
It's
you
a
know,
good story, Bob.
It's a great. There really is.
Yeah.
There's so many stories along the way, so many miracles,
Mhm.
confirmations, things that We just decided in the beginning. I'd lived my whole life on the edge.
Yeah.
I've always been self-employed. I've never been afraid of money.
Uh-huh.
I've always felt like money was just a tool to get something done. I've never hoarded it or never wanted to keep it. I just used it
Yeah.
to get something done. And that mentality, I think God just used in the church world. Because really this is a business. Church is a business. You got a light bill, you got windstorm insurance, you got a payment.
Mhm.
And I just took that philosophy and had 30 years of training.
Yeah.
And God took that and said, okay, now use it for me. And all that I was willing.
I respect that you say that, because a lot of pastors won't say it. And
That's all I was willing.
Yeah.
Had nothing else.
Yeah.
Successful track record in the business world,
Mhm.
but nothing in the spiritual realm. So, man, took me out of something I knew everything about, because I really am good at construction, and put me in something I knew nothing about.
Wow.
So it's been the hardest thing I've ever done.
Okay.
Still hard every day. This last 2 years has just been unbelievable.
Yeah.
The storm, the economy, the things that we've gone through, but you do what you got to do.
Yeah.
You keep going.
Now, when the storm hit, I think you had water all over the church, didn't you?
Had about
You
a foot of water, and it wasn't from rising water. The roof ripped off in the front,
Yeah.
just filled this thing up like a bowl.
Mm.
Had a foot of water everywhere. If you have a chance to look next door, that's all murals. My wife did all that. The old beer joint that was the church. When we came over here, we gave that to the youth, the kids. They were then turned that into children's church. Awesome. It's
Yeah.
all themed
Beautiful.
after the Cayman Islands.
Mhm.
Had all that had water in it. And I was stuck in Bolivia when all that happened.
That's right.
It's
I remember
horrible.
that.
Horrible time. We didn't know what was going on. No television, no internet, no communication. Hurricane, you see the little red dot coming right over the Texas City area. Couldn't talk. We didn't know what to expect.
Yeah.
Caught the last flight out of Bolivia and came home, and really a miracle. This place was destroyed, but my home didn't suffer any damage. But had to
Thank God.
completely redo the inside.
Mhm.
We spent like $1.2 million, I think, remodeling the whole inside. Back to what it was. We had already done it, but nicer now.
Yeah.
Newer, nicer, better equipment, but that's what you see now.
So now, you guys the building looks great. And
I have an office,
you have an office.
not a 5-gallon bucket anymore.
Now, let's talk about the community that you're in. You are located probably in the heart of Texas City, aren't you?
Absolutely the heart. 29th and Palmer.
Yeah.
When Texas City began, Texas City's got a long history.
Yeah.
A lot of history in this town. It's 47 was the explosion, the biggest explosion, largest disaster still on record. It wiped out thousands of people.
Mm.
Tanker down there on the docks caught on fire, and they tried to snuff it out by locking the hatches down.
Mhm.
Made a bomb.
Oh.
They
my goodness.
locked the hatches down, and that smoldering then they couldn't unlock up the hatches, and it just blew up. And it's so sad because people had gone down the docks to watch the yellow smoke. Whole families disappeared.
Oh my goodness.
There's a book out on that, The City Ablaze. Unbelievable. So it's got a long history, but 29th right here was as far as town went. That was it. This was the end of the town. Of course, now it's a freeway.
Right.
But we're dead in the heart of Texas City proper.
How long have you been in Texas City?
I was born here.
You were born in
I was
Texas
born right
City?
down in Texas City, on 6th Street, 4 years after that explosion.
Okay. Wow.
Long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the last place in the world that I would have wanted to start a church, but it's where God
It's
put me.
home. Yeah, absolutely. Now, we talked about not just reaching Texas City, because you have a great facility. And, Bob, I have to tell you, I'm not, myself, I probably don't read the Bible as much as I should. But I read something that talked about how, they were fishing. And then Jesus said something like, throw the net over on the other side.
Yeah.
And they said, we've been fishing all night we're not catching anything, and then but they'll beg and they throw.
He says, all right, if
Yeah.
you say so, just out of courtesy, I'll do it. You know,
Exactly.
keep to yourselves, I'll do it. you know.
But the boat was ready. They had a boat. They have the infrastructure to hold the
Right.
fish, although they're not catching any fish. So, and when they did throw the net, right, they caught more fish
Yeah.
than the boat could almost hold. But they had the infrastructure. They were able to hold all the fish because they obeyed.
That's what's happening here.
Right?
Yeah.
So you have the infrastructure. You're not just trying to reach Texas City. You're trying to reach so much more. And you
Yeah, and we're different. There's 200 churches in town.
200 churches
200 churches in this town.
in Little Texas City.
Largest one, well, there's a denominational First Baptist, which is the oldest church in town.
Right.
They just had their 100-year birthday. They're running about 300 people. Prime time, probably the largest was 600. In 200 churches, we started with 8 families, and right before the hurricane, we were about 1,000 people. So God's just,
Wow.
you know, we've been set back a little bit, the economy and just everything, but averaging about 600 now. But yeah, the boat's ready.
Yeah.
The boat's ready. All we've got to do now is be obedient and be aggressive. And
Yeah.
you know, most churches, I'm not speaking for those churches, but just observing, they become keepers of the aquarium. They get some fish, they just want to feed them and take care of them. I'm just the opposite. I'm not a keeper of an aquarium. That's probably a downfall, if anything else. I don't pastor enough. I'm always after the lost one, the one that's going to hell. Because I can't even imagine somebody being separated for eternity from God. Separated.
Yeah.
When you can be united with Him in perfect harmony forever. So my heart is that one person that doesn't know God. I'm not after saved people. I'm not after church people. I'm after the guy who doesn't know Jesus Christ. And it's pretty unique.
Cool. Well, if anything else, what I like to do now is Bobby and I, we're going to go around the church. I'll take some shots to show you guys what the church looks like. And if you have any questions, what's your website, Bob?
BaypointCC.com.
BaypointCC.com. And, you know, if you're in this area, in the Houston area, in the area around Texas City, you know, Bob is one of the dearest friends I have. I don't just see him as a pastor, I see him as a friend. I think that he's somebody that if you don't go to church, even if you don't go to church, especially if you don't go to church, you want to get to know him. So,
thank you, I appreciate that. We are unique and different because I'm not I try to do everything totally opposite of church.
Yeah.
Because if church was reaching them, they'd be going, right?
Yeah.
So we do totally, just different. Just try to take all those barriers out so that somebody who's hurting, got a lot of questions, will come here and check it out. That's all we do, whatever it takes. Decent message, but good music. Okay.
You're being humble.
You got some music, man. Oh my gosh, I got the best band in the world.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So there you go, folks. Hope you enjoyed this. This is just a little segment on our website, and we're going to go around real quick, take some video of the church just so you can see it. I hope you enjoyed it. Bobby, thank you.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Good stuff.